Long ago, in the lands of Japan, during a time known as the Heian period, the samurai began their story. These were not just ordinary warriors, they were special. They served powerful lords and protected their lands. As the government in the capital grew weaker, these lords, called daimyo, became more powerful. They needed strong and brave fighters to defend their homes and lands. This is where the samurai came in. Before continuing, thanks to all who subscribed and helped the channel to grow. This year we're gonna do better. The samurai started as just guards and fighters for the daimyo, but soon they became much more. They formed their own group, known for their skill and bravery. As time went by, Japan entered a new period called the Kamakura period. Things changed a lot during this time. Japan was now under the rule of shoguns, big-time lords who had a lot of power. The samurai were the backbone of this new way of life. They were the ones who did the fighting and also helped run the places they lived in. They were no longer just warriors, they were important people in society, making decisions and leading others. These warriors of Japan had their very own Bushido, the samurai code. Now the samurai were not just about fighting. They had a special way of living, a set of rules called Bushido, meaning the way of the warrior. This wasn't a written list of rules. Instead, it was a way of life guiding how they lived every day. It was influenced by different beliefs, like Shinto, Buddhism, and Confucianism. There were a few really important things in Bushido. Loyalty was a big one. Samurai were expected to be super loyal to their lord, even if it meant sacrificing their own lives. Then there was honor. For a samurai, honor was everything. Losing honor was considered worse than dying. And let's not forget discipline. Samurai had to be disciplined in everything they did. This meant being focused and effective, whether they were fighting or doing other things. Bushido touched every part of a samurai's life. It told them how to act in battles, how to treat others, and even how to face death. But it wasn't all about war. Bushido also meant that samurai had to learn other things like writing beautifully, appreciating poetry, and understanding philosophy. This made them not just great warriors, but wise and cultured people too. The way of the samurai Bushido wasn't just for the old times. It left a big mark on Japan, influencing how people even today think about honor, loyalty, and discipline. All of this immensely impacted the life of a samurai. Living the life of a samurai was not easy. It was full of strict training and discipline. From when they were very young, samurai started learning how to be warriors. But it wasn't just about being strong and fast. They also had to be smart and good at making plans. Every day they practiced hard, learning how to fight and how to think like true warriors. One of the most important things for a samurai was learning how to use a sword. This was a big deal because the sword was not just a weapon. It was a part of the samurai's soul. They spent many hours practicing with their swords, making sure they were ready for any battle. But it wasn't all about the sword. Samurai also learned how to use bows and arrows, spears, and other weapons. They had to be ready for anything. Samurai wore special armor when they went into battle. This armor had to be strong to protect them, but it also had to be light enough so they could move easily. Over the years, their armor changed, getting better and better. It wasn't just about protection. It was also about looking brave and powerful. But being a samurai wasn't just about fighting. They were also taught other things like writing, poetry, and how to appreciate nature. This was part of Bushido, their way of life. It made them more than just warriors. It made them wise and respectful people. Next up, let's look at samurai in warfare. In battle, the samurai were the heroes. They were brave and skilled, and they played a big role in wars during feudal Japan. Whether on horseback or on foot, they were a force to be reckoned with. They used smart tactics and were always ready to adapt to new challenges. There were many famous battles in Japan where samurai showed their bravery. In these battles, they used different strategies. Sometimes they would charge on horseback with their swords. Other times they would use bows and arrows to fight from a distance. As times changed, so did their tactics. They started using new weapons like guns, which changed how battles were fought. Samurai were also good at defending places. They built strong castles and were smart about protecting them. They knew how to use the land around them to their advantage. Over time, as Japan changed and became more united, the way samurai fought changed too. They started using more modern ways of fighting. But even as things changed, the samurai always remembered their Bushido, the code that taught them to be brave, loyal, and smart, both in battle and in life. This lineage of warriors had many famous samurai who became legends. First, there's Miyamoto Musashi, known as one of the greatest swordsmen ever. He wasn't just a fighter, he was also a philosopher and a writer. His book, The Book of Five Rings, is still read today. Musashi was famous for his unique style of fighting with two swords at once, and he won many battles without even getting a scratch. Next, we have Minamoto no Yoshitsune, a hero from a time of war and chaos. He was known for his brilliant strategies and his bravery. One of his most famous battles was at Dan no Ura, where he led his clan to a great victory at sea. Yoshitsune wasn't just a warrior, he was also a skilled musician, which made him a well-rounded figure in samurai history. Then there's Takeda Shingen, a powerful lord known for his military tactics and his fierce rivalry with another samurai lord, Uesugi Kenshin. These two were not just enemies. They had a deep respect for each other. Takeda Shingen is remembered for his code, Furin-Kazan, meaning wind, forest, fire, mountain, representing the speed, silence, ferocity, and immovability of his forces. Samurai culture wasn't just about the men. Women played an important role too. These women warriors, known as Onabu Geisha, were just as brave and skilled. They fought right alongside the men, defending their homes and families. One famous Onabu Geisha was Tomoe Gozen, a woman known for her strength, skill, and courage. She fought in many battles and was respected by friends and foes alike. Stories say she was not only good with the sword, but also with a bow and arrow, and even in hand-to-hand combat. Women in samurai culture were trained to fight, especially in times of need. They knew how to use weapons like the naginata, a long pole with a curved blade at the end. This weapon was perfect for them because it allowed them to keep enemies at a distance. These women were a vital part of samurai culture, showing that bravery and skill in battle weren't just for the men. They were respected and honored just like their male counterparts, making them an important part of the samurai legacy. As time passed, the world of the samurai began to change. The age of the samurai started to fade away, not because they lost their strength, but because the world around them was changing. The biggest change came with the unification of Japan. When Japan became one big country under a strong government, there was less need for local warriors like the samurai. Then came the Meiji Restoration, a time of great change in Japan. The country started to modernize, looking to the ways of the West. They brought in new kinds of technology and new ways of thinking. The government wanted a modern army, and that meant the old ways of the samurai were no longer needed. Samurai were asked to give up their swords and their special status in society. This was a tough time for the samurai. They had lived their lives following the Bushido, the samurai code, and now everything was changing. Some samurai found new roles in the changing Japan, but many struggled to find their place in this new world. Even though the samurai era came to an end, their legacy lived on. The samurai had a big impact on Japanese culture. Their values like honor, loyalty, and discipline are still admired in Japan today. People remember the samurai for their skills in battle, their way of life, and their deep sense of duty. In movies, books, and art, the samurai are often shown as heroes, symbols of a time when warriors fought with honor and bravery. They remind us of a part of history that was about more than just fighting. It was about living with respect, discipline, and a sense of duty. The story of the samurai is not just a tale of warriors from long ago. The samurai may belong to the past, but their spirit lives on, a lasting part of Japan's rich history and culture. Again, thank you for watching and subscribing to the channel. Hit the like button and see you in the next one.